guess it's going. Oh, well, crappy. All right, let me get this in the way. Okay, so it's going good. Uh-huh. Not cool. See if I can do this from here instead, holding it. Yeah. Okay. Definitely wasn't anticipated. There we go. All right. Just wanted to shoot this Argonite energy out there. Let me make her calm down. All right. So handing out this Argonaut energy. Because there really is something to blending the crystal with the bowl. I guess I never really explained that. For some, maybe you'll see the Argonaut and you might can't connect with it. But in this frequency, maybe if you re-listen to it, it might come to you a little clearer. Used to be with a crystal group where a guy pretty much made like crystal reflective music and instruments where it had the crystals reflected or put in with sound, extend the sound of the crystal. Okay. These big bowls just give. It's really like a like one of the best toys in some way. It's like where you have to have talismans, you use imagination with them. With these bowls, or and I guess any instrument, you make it your own, and it that back and forth. I mean, this thing is so simple. You put very little energy in it, and it just give you this explosion of energy returned with a very little energy put into it. I mean, technically, it never really stops moving. But I'll start from the beginning. If those never watched me before, this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I'm your host. Eight Wind is timeless. I'm the holder of the infinite sacred ball game that comes from the Popeye Vow that talks about the hero twins, who we can pretty much credit with creating it. But I'm also the Galactic Daddy-O, and I welcome each and every one of you to this galactic patio. And the beer we're highlighting tonight is Ondox Donko. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. Now I am going to bring in a guest. So I'm going to chop for a minute, and whenever she wants to come in, she can come in. And so got to find my link. And yeah, bring her in. Here we go. I think it's, oops. It didn't come up. It did not come up. Well, okay. Try it again. No, 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 no. Wow. Kick myself out. All right. Let's see. I'll get it together. I will get it together. But greetings, everyone. Sorry. Hey, Tiger Strong. How you doing? Oh, it is. Gosh, I thought I came on since the Conspiracy University. Dr. Sinister. Hey, good evening, Amber. Yeah, I'll get into all that too. I'm gonna bring my guest on, and then uh it's a lot of energy going out tonight. I've been hey PJ, hey Jeffrey, um Marco 666. He was doing a little bit, and I always watch when Zach when he brings Rambo on. I mean, Rambo got into saying it was an anti-serious kind of ritual, which I don't know if a lot of people caught that about his whole breakdown of this thing. But and that made me really think that these mugs is fighting, because normally that is in the position, not right here. Yeah, normally that is in the position of power, and what they're doing, the how they do rituals. It's usually that side, but not the other side. Uh, yes. Right. Uh, all right. All right. I hope it went through. But all these things, just like in the what is this, the Ruggs case, the football player, there was two, I believe it was 19. They had the, what was Ruggs, the 6th or 7th pick, and this other dude was like the 18th or 19th pick, and he got cut. He was a DB. He just got cut. Yeah, this week. So two the number one picks when Ruggs was picked. The Raiders had two number one picks, and one gets put out of football because of recklessness, or so called, and the other one supposedly talent. But a number one pick is rarely just cut like that. So there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on. But beautiful tonight. It got dark about 5 o'clock here. So it's operating through the dark for the next 20 days, roughly, almost 30 days. Next 30 days, we'll get roughly darker days to move around in. I mean, it's so, I don't know. It's a interesting concept that you really do move in the darkness, especially living up far north as I live in Minnesota. I truly live in, where it stays dark. It's days, it's going to be dark, 13, 14-hour days. And I was talking to someone, and they're feeling one thing that the dark does for some is put on, again, it's black, bleak, black. And so depression can come on, but part of it is that this change too. Part of it is this change, so keep that in mind too. Future systemic humans, we get out our back. We got our back. Hey James, how you doing? Hey CJ. Different one. Okay. Let me try it again. Send it off. Yeah, I think this is it here. All right. All right. Get this going. But what I told my friend, I was like, you have to understand that a lot of things are going in play. Again, this is a where you can really now. This is I'll say about the dark. The time is definitely sped up. I mean, they speed up this time so you agree to push in a new year. I mean, it really takes all of this humanity together to believe in this new year coming. So it takes a lot of believers. Like one of my friends was like, uh, you don't believe what I believe. And I'm like, not like you believe. And not putting down. Not putting down, but like definitely different than the way you go about it. But some and so I answer in the way that I think a person would really understand. Because when I talk to people, I too it's too easy for me to like be both people. I guess is the best way. It's because I can like at a moving time, I can kind of read the way both energies are going. And so I'm it's like almost like when I say I'm another yourself, it's almost like I am talking to myself because I understand both ways of how it's all coming and the way it's coming. And I know that for some people that's frustrates them. Hey Reese, thank you for joining me. Well, wow, I hadn't heard that, Tiger Strong. Wow. Oh, and I'll say this, and maybe I'll write it down so I won't forget it. I wrote it earlier. Um, oops. Um, I'll write something down to bring a good point. But how you hear these narratives, and a lot of it's propaganda, really is. That's why it's like you really have to understand what a rabbit hole is, because the way the rabbit hole is, it'll let you dig as deep as you want to go. I mean, it really will. This is the information age. This thing likes to be asked questions. This thing likes you to research with it. Like you notice, I notice with me when I order books online, it takes a minute with books. I get everything else super quick, but books it always takes a minute. I get a lot of books, but it's like it's funny how everything else will move fast. Books move slow, sometimes 2-3 weeks. And I ain't talking about no big giant book. I'm talking about just regular books. Why is that? Why do books move slower than the other goods? Because this thing would rather you be connected to it, and most are. Most are like on the Marco show, giving a little knowledge up. This thing, whatever your passion is, that this thing that we move through will enhance it around you. If you like in a way, when Malcolm X said, "You take one step towards Allah, He takes two to you," is a spell. It's a type of hex. Because again, it's tying your movement in with that. And so it's never like just good, really good, or really bad. But it's like you're saying this energy, okay, when it's really good, if I add this energy, it's going to be 2 times good. But when I also add this energy, it's going to be just as 2 times bad. If it doesn't go, the energy flows in some negative type of behavior. Felt like I just spit all over my face. Well, my guest is trying to see if it can check it out, and if they come in. Now we'll work on another night, but I'm pretty sure I sent it out right. So I don't know. Cool day today. We're supposed to get snow here tomorrow. We're gonna get about 1 inch of snow tomorrow and the next day. Uh, and cold. The only thing that might slow the accumulation down is the cold. Sometimes it gets so cold it won't snow. Like if it gets 28 to 20 in there, it might not snow. But it stays around 30, tends to snow. Raiders going to the Super Bowl. You think so, Mike? You be way early. Holding us. Hey, thank you, woke sister. Yeah. Maybe I have to send this out again. That are from another timeline and control reality. They are on timeline hopping, also controlled by the demonic. Use the speed force, time lords, and the memory of yourself catching up. Tiger, that can be proven thought. What's a way to open your third eye? I guess the first thing would be to decalcify it. Because if you feel it's a block there, that's what you have to work on. You have to work on removing it and make sure that okay. That's the first thing, is to try to decalcify it, and then from there build up. Then try to build your third eye. Let's see. Oh, this might be better. Yeah. And then try to build your third eye back up. And then try to build your third eye back up. But you definitely have to recognize that it's calcified. And that can be kind of that can be kind of fun too, to really capture the moments of capture the moment of when you break through, when the signal becomes clear, because that takes a patience as well. It takes a patience to make sure that you're getting the full signal and not blocks. Recognize when attachments come in, erase them. But the main thing is to because that's what a lot of all that's put upon us as young people on up. The foods and everything, the air, the sounds is all to block that kind of knowing, to push your kind of knowing out, to be able to collect the glimpse of awareness, the glimpse of what is real. Because it comes like little, they say get the gleam, but that it comes kind of like that. It's like just the gleam comes in and you're holding it, and it appears to be a kind of thing, is the more you power up, the longer you can hold it, to really appreciate all that you're working with. So that's my best thing, is my best answer is to work on removing calcification. And it's really like, I've said before, a lot of people, the thing is, like, which one would I want to work with? And one of the wands. Like, one thing you can do is you can take a crystal. Now, this is a selenite wand, but like you can find out. Okay. Feeding myself. You can really find out where you're most sensitive. And it's down here right now. Oh yeah. That is quite the rush of energy. Wow. Yeah. All right now, it's really, let me see. Usually it's up here. It all open up actually, but you can take a crystal and just kind of see where you're sensitive. And I'm in a bunch of light, but this is another good way. And this is just selenite, and you can get little selenite sticks and just see where you're, where you can take it in, because you can find, like, right now I'm kind of like everything is just kind of like tingling here. This is just from doing this, and so trying to find out where the signal would be best. That's another way to capture it. That is another way to capture it. Hey, Siova, thank you for joining me. That's my man in $1,000,000 grand. What is the soul? Well, I guess you would look at two things, like what will be a spirit and then what will be a soul. And which one is the energy signature? Which one? Well, which one would be your best vessel? I guess is the way to see it too. Because I could see both being eternal, but which one would give you the vehicle to live in infinity, to go to the next step? And think about it like this. I mean, even if you just go to where you can be in the galaxy and you just the consciousness of moving through the galaxy, just like a galaxy wanderer in some way, and where nothing could really feed on you and nothing could impede you or trick you. Where you could create, maybe even temporarily, what you would think would be a functional forever in this given free space. So it's a lot of these things to consider. And so to answer your question, the way they look at it, like in the Jamie Foxx movie, What Was It Sold? When they go to the piano area and they're really going through Akashic records, they're trying to tell you that was more of the soul doing that. That's kind of what the movie and the message is, that your soul would be able to look through Akashic records and not necessarily your spirit. Because in some ways, the spirit might even be able to look at as a little older, somewhat wiser of energy of you. So would the soul really need to, or would the spirit really need to get into the Akashic records? Or would the Akashic records already be downloaded in the spirit, especially all of his families? Because that is the gift of what family you come from. And this is something that they don't really want you to really know, that the gifts you get from your ancestors is also in whatever they want to call it. They call it DNA, but it's more than that. You get these natural downloads from the bloodline you come from. And as Sister Phoenix would say, far back as you know, you get 4 more. So you find out how far back you come from, and then you get 4 more from that. Just to look at how these English do their business. Because they forget their pens also, as much as they want to erase, their pens also, they kept records of this shit. They kept records, and so a lot of them records bite their asses in the ass. And as many of you know, like especially like I'll show you two correlations in music. I'm at the age where, in some ways, in some part of the countries, hip hop was perceived as, because again, 79, I was 18. The perception in some ways it was slightly younger, between 12 and 15 in some ways, far as the people that it was really attracting, 16, 17. So in some ways, my age was almost that bridge where either you didn't like it because you loved R&B and you loved funk, or your mind was open and you could enjoy that. And that's kind of where I come from. I was able to still enjoy, but some of my people, they couldn't enjoy that kind of music. I mean, they were really like where their maturity was, that kind of music was alien to them. And it's funny how you could just see the barrier, like just the barrier of people, like video games. You know, video games again is a little younger than me. I had a partner that loved to play pinball. He loved to play pinball. We used to just play pinball. I really only started playing was the Space Invaders because when we waited for to get our barbecue, his brother owned the barbecue shop, and he knew we came in like the same time every Friday night. After our games, we went straight over there. And he would just like take forever to make a sandwich. This dude would make one sandwich and he would walk it all. He was people working, but he was still walking all the way around and go back and make the other sandwiches, still making them all at once. That was okay. So that's kind of what it is. It's like your soul wouldn't necessarily need to go down the acoustic hallways. Your soul it would already be in you. And I think that's one of the differences. So it is a part of you, but it is a part of you for the given kind of space you put it in. I guess is the best way to explain it. What kind of space you put either one in. That's what James Brown said. I got sold and I'm super bad. So it almost is like a grounding kind of thing. Oh. Hey, Jay, thank you for joining. Assassin's Creed, the video game, shows the gifts we were given from our ancestors through DNA. Yeah, and they came out with a new one, didn't they? Let me try to send another site out. I'm doing something wrong, obviously. Let's try one more time. Let me try it again. You guys bear with me. Let's see if that worked or not. See if she can get it. And if not, I'm out of luck for tonight. Wow. I guess it is going to block it. Yes. Yeah, I guess they are blocking it. Try one more time. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe she'll be able to join me, maybe not. Ah, that is really good. All right. Um, like I'll say this. I wanted to say this, and I'll go ahead and get into this. Like there was a killer out of Detroit, and I think the first book was it's called Joey the Hitman, and Joey was it was one of the deepest books I've read as a young boy. Um, to give me an idea of what a true, and he didn't even really mention like mafia stuff. He didn't even really mention none of that. He just mentioned that he was able to put in work on people, and it was about the Iceman um, that was the killer. And one I bring this up, and again, this book was really cool. But the Iceman, and maybe it's two cats, but the Iceman told a story. Well, no, no, I'll go to Joey. Joey is the one. He told a story where he was in a bar. He went by a dude and pricked the dude, and he said later the dude died of a heart attack. This dude Joey in the book talked about doing that to a couple people. But when they put that kind of thing out there, it's like how out of 50,000, they never really mentioned how many was injured. And it's like, how do you know, like one person, like how many got hurt and one person just happened to, and then the information got moved that quick? Like that information got moved to him that quick. Out of all the injured, one person was like, hey, this is what happened to me. So, hey, Edward Bailey, thank you for joining. So, soulless entities. I have a question. You can always shoot your questions, Jeffrey. Go ahead and shoot. Oh, like what is gas out there today? I mean, gas here went down. It was 3.19. Right now, gas is trading at $3.81 a barrel. Gas is trading. And that's one thing I did want to bring up is trading. So back last June, no, it might even been before. My brother gave me like a tip, and he was telling me about Ford, and it was like March or April. Ford was trading at maybe four or something. Then it went over $5. Well, right now Ford is up to $20. So I've made like 15 just off the one trade. So Ford is kind of going in the right direction. But this is the thing about gas. One let me see, what was the dude's name? The 100% dude, the mag man, whatever. He'd go 100%. But anyway, that brother said something that is absolutely right. This country, that they lie about the gas. So gas is made in America. All right. They find it and they put a name on it. They know how to use it. They go to other countries and find their gas. And now you want us to believe, like the thing with OPEC and what they did in 70, 71, 72, when they had gas lines in some places. It wasn't in Michigan. Well, I guess a little bit, but not bad. People still able to, remember, per gallon, it's cheap. And, even the big gas guzzler cars was still efficient to go around. Wouldn't burn up terrible amount of gas. But that's all fake. That is all fake. This country, this country lies about what gas is and that gas could run out. I saw something that's talking about coal would run out. We hope coal does run out, because what you do to the world to get that coal is one of the most killing things they're doing to Americans. What they've done in West Virginia, they've just destroyed. Like before, they would just hollow into the mountains. They would just hollow into it, get the coal out like that. But that caused a lot of problems. I mean, so many people was really dying in them early coal mines. Now, that's a type of slavery that they was doing both. And more Europeans got killed that way than anybody. Because they was finding out when they first was able to do that technology to put them down in that mines and burn things where they could see and work in the dark, it was all them gases. And it was just killing people. Melanated people went in there too, but mostly European immigrants. And you saw something very similar when the Spanish went in and started making the first people in Mexico working in mines. Just sitting in a little place all day, banging out rocks looking for silver. Some of the people have the same issues. But now they just wipe out the mountain. And once the mountain is wiped out of coal, they just pour what's left from it. The liquid, that's the drainage, the sewer, what's left from burrowing out this mountain, they put on top of what was left. And they've got this dead thing that was once where a mountain was. Just this dead liquid that doesn't help, and it's got to seep somewhere. So, all right. So this is the destruction of the world. It's $5 in Cali. Wow, it's $3.19 here. Heard about what happened. Yeah, I had heard about that. And Mr. Lamborghini, I guess that's again, looking at that dude, Joy and the Iceman. This is from the 70s. They talked about poking people, and you would poke the person. And really, most people probably be easily to look up the Iceman. And he was a mass murderer, but he was a mass murderer within the mafia. And this dude talked about poking people and people dying of heart attacks. I still don't understand. Like one dude took his child there. Slide, put that up. Like why are these young children going there? And this is the first time I heard about a stampede was back in '80 in San Jose, California. It seemed to be a practice or a thing. I remember I had a friend, and she was in San Jose, and she had went to a funk concert, and the same kind of thing. In '79, in the fall of '79, there were several stampedes across the country like that, where people would go into concerts, and it would be like what they say about movie theaters. You remember it's illegal to say fire in a movie theater because it makes people panic, and people will run over each other. And we were seeing this same kind of thing in '79. And I remember it was around September was the first time I actually probably heard of it, September of '79. My friend said, and maybe it was even August, she said she was in a concert. And I remember reading about this phenomenon. So this has to be like something would start the stampede. And again, 50,000 people on the ground. It takes a lot of them to really cause pressure. I mean, you really have to really boundary the people in the front end. And what would be making these people in the back really push like that? So this is all put together. And it's an easy way to snatch people too. 50,000 people, somebody pass out, who knows? It's engineered, who knows? Who knows what really happens to the people? I mean, one thing, like looking at them Holocaust videos, it's easy to show bodies. It's easy to make it look like it's bodies. It's easy to have someone similar. Especially, just think of it if people are targeted. Because this thing is the last minute flowing of this thing that we look at. This matrix is like when you see the matrix code moving. This thing is moving. So this thing is adapting. So that thing was put together. This thing starts putting its plan. And then it sends it to its henchmen. And the henchmen then put it into full physical motion. But they're following a plan. They're in contact with the thing. How to best do this. Because it wasn't really natural. I was just at a Viking game where 70,000 people. And it sounded like it had more than enough security, more than enough cops as far as physical numbers for that many people. I mean, 50,000 people outside. I mean, it's a lot. It's large amounts. But normally it's so spread out. And then the VIP part is even really more security is like there, whereas many people couldn't even squeeze to pressure people. So this is some of the things that doesn't quite seem believable about the whole thing. And it seems like it's an operation. Are they lying, claiming to be aliens just to keep the ruse going? Future humans just fully corrupted by AI technology and possibly demonic walk-ins. You should go to prison. You might. And his question is, are they the only lying, claiming to be aliens to keep this ruse going? The thing with aliens is like all this stuff. They'll just keep, the more you study about it, the more they'll give it to you. The more they want you to believe. Because if you spend time looking at that thing, that becomes your belief. And so one thing it's noticed in the illusion, and just like the Dark City, and I'll say Dark City probably omits this, it's like Dark City doesn't really show you the one fractal that they can throw out to everybody. And despite you may not be becoming rich or poor, you all react to the fractal in the same manner. And that's like this Scott thing. You know, they're throwing out a fractal or this event, but it's a fractal of time. And it's affecting, you're hearing so many people being affected the same way by it. Where so many people want to dig into this rabbit hole of it. Now, I guess from the point of saying how demonic that thing is, yeah, very demonic. But there's nothing that this thing has showed you that it ain't. And it won't continue to be demonic. You know, all the symbols were there before. But see, no one reported this stuff before. All this symbolism, why didn't they report it before? Because normally people go in these events, they all had phones and stuff. So nobody reported this. None of this stuff, the mouth and being eaten. Wasn't all that there? Like before people went? Like the first 1,000 people that went, that wasn't up? And was it spread out that much then? Was like, hey, we with this motherfucker, look at this shit. Tell you cigarette people, I don't get that when that nicotine hits, it's that woozy. I don't get that nicotine thing. I like it, but when it comes in a little woozier than anything else. So to answer your question, that's just another way to take away from you. Again, it's like, you know, the thing about a wand is that's it. The energy, you can use the energy from any kind of angle, but it's, you know, you want it coming out of there. You do want to, you know, move the energy. And the thing is not to get pulled in. And that's what happens. It's like the more you get pulled in, the more little pulls on you, almost like a ligament. A ligament can only be stretched so far. You know, it'll stretch so far where it'll take a little bit of injury and not totally snap. But that's what happens is you don't continue up your road. You know, as Quantum says, you get pulled into the Borg or the bog. You get pulled in instead of just ascending, of accepting awareness. That's why I say, like when I, if I really took the time with each one of you and really focused, I would almost, like, as you asked the question, I could put you face to face with me. I really could. And like we would both experience you asking me the question. I mean, I really could do that. It's invasive. Just because I can do it don't mean I should. It's invasive. It should be an agreement. Like, but it's like, hey, you asked the question, so I had the right to put us big head to big head together, so you could talk to me like that. It's invasive. But so I would say the best way to look at everything is this is a moving kind of thing. And just as you and your awareness and your being have to be fluid with it, because remember, this thing ain't stagnant. You may be stagnant in your feelings, whatever's going on, but remember, this thing plays off any of that. Like sometimes this is okay. Let me give this up. Sometimes you have to do like this. You have to really wish for something. You have to really wish for something, but that ain't what you really want. You don't really want that. But the way this thing works, you keep wishing and wishing and wishing. And sometimes your goal is like this over here. So you are making this reality think I'm really focused on this. But the way this thing balances is this is around you what you really want, because this is what you've manifested this much. So it's there. It's like, hey, I'm moving with this, but this is what we really, really want. That's what the thing is thinking. That is what you're fainting. You're fainting that. So when it's time to manifest, it's like, hey, we took this one away. Yeah, but I brought this too. Because that's how you manifest. I wanted you to have that. Because I really wanted this. Well, damn. That's fair. It's got not to fuck with you. It's like, it's fair. You manifested it. I wasn't giving it to you, but you manifested it to keep it right there. Perspective Gaming, what's happening? Oh, okay. You had to go to the concert, yeah. The biggest murder, and it's not even talked about anymore, is the way they were snatching them South Dakota women. Dewan Brown mentioned something on a Craig Fact show, a very interesting book. It's only about $4 or $5 in the softback version, but it's called "Killing of the Flower Moon." And what happened is they stuck this tribe in Oklahoma, and it was some of the richest oil lands in the country. I mean, these people were so rich, it didn't make sense. I talk about during the same period, around 1918, 1919, I talked about my grandfather being able to buy a Model A. And I think it was a Model T. He bought a Model T. 19 might have been a Model A. Yeah, because he had 4 doors. So he probably had a Model A instead of a Model T. But they was like buying 4 or 5. It was a picture with a brother that lived on them lands, had 4 or 5 automobiles. And what they were doing is they were introducing the liquor to women and get the women alcoholics and then murking them and then married a sister. And when what would happen is when the European married into the Indian family, it automatically had control of the oil. And if those children, whatever their share was, it controlled the children's share too. And so within 50 years, they killed 100 of these people. Now, Dewan said something about the FBI being involved. That I didn't get that part. So that part I can't tell you about. What happened is J. Edgar Hoover. It was so many killings on such a scale where the FBI couldn't ignore it. And the FBI goes in. And the FBI still doesn't get the whole answer. That they really went in on these natives and started murking them. Like in a systematic way. So they haven't had it crazy. The Travis Scott thing is crazy. They say Earth, Wind, and Fire was on the bill too. And then they say the Earth, Wind, and Fire just on Zach's show, talking about Earth, Wind, and Fire was also at the Pelosi's, where she officiated a marriage. They was also performing there too. And I've seen Earth, Wind, and Fire a few times. I talked about them. Shit, they did some shit where they got in some round ass spears. Spears. And these motherfuckers got in the spears and went up to the ceiling. And then the shit blew up and they was on stage. I was like, okay, misdirection. You thought, but it looked like they was in the thing. So maybe it was some painted shit. I couldn't say, but they was on stage. I watched them at Old Chicago Stadium where Michael Jordan used to play. Old Chicago Stadium. Shit, I saw him the first time I saw Michael Jackson. I was in 7th grade, so he was probably in 9th or 10th. And I only think he was 2 years, maybe 3 years older than me. So if I was 12, he was only 15, 16, killing the robot, killing that shit. And we was like, you had the floor seats, but then you had like the first row that was like the bricked up seats. And then there was the stage. So where I was sitting was on the same level. And I was probably 8, 9 rows off the stage on the same level in the Old Chicago Stadium. And he's doing that moving. Oh, man. Yeah, he learned that from the California brothers. And I've said before, I remember watching Soul Train on WGN before I went to California. And I'll say this all the time. I mean, the Soul Train line was joining the families together, just as the families sit apart at the church when they get married. Once the dance starts, the families intertwine. And I mean, this goes really back far. It's like the families through vibrations and tones interjoin. So that's why the whole community, the whole families did this. And that's why they would stand on opposite sides. Because everybody in the family, this is who you are going to, we are joining all this family together. And so that was one of the biggest parts that everybody looked forward to. And Don Cornelius commercialized it. But that was the concept behind it, why it was done. And I know this is a Midwest thing, for sure. Very much like the Hanukkah, put the wheels together. Yeah, Tiger Strong. You just wonder with the young people. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's the difference. Like people don't understand how evil can be used, but the part that becomes too much is the wicked. The wicked becomes beyond. I mean, again, to kick somebody's ass, to win a conflict, just to be enforceful, you got to have a little of that evil energy. Not just passive and just, you're a sponge, and just, but you have to have a little of that drive. And a lot of people don't have that no more. But wicked is what becomes with demonic. And then pre-planned, all these pre-planned executions. Again, eyes wide shut. Because what you would see, even if people were massively falling out, like think about it like this, like you got 50,000 people and the attack is on every 4th or 10th, say 10th or 15th person. And even if you start seeing that around you, that they would do it in such a massive way where every 10th person would be affected. Even you seeing this and say you were able to witness 2 people out of every, you're the 24th person, you see 2 people die within 20 people. Like, what are you really seeing? I mean, really, when would that become? Because right here is just all you know. You wouldn't necessarily, you would be blocked from these other areas. But seeing the people go on stage and holler, I mean, again, this seems too pre-planned. Especially you sit back on it, you see how they do things. But again, yes, very wicked. But as I said, Rhino said anti-serious, which kind of goes against this thing. So it's very interesting. For the thing that relies on serious, this is kind of an interesting thing. Oh, that's funny, Jeffrey. But yeah, people do love wicked shit. Yeah, yeah, they're still abusing people in those because people have that those they have ownership. Like I met a lady that lived in South Dakota that was in one of the tribes, and it's funny. She said she smoked cigarettes and she was diabetic, and I was like, wow, and you still smoking? And she's about 50, and I'm like, you still smoke? And what she was like, she was pretty much towing the line. It was like, oh no, you guys will never be recognized. You know that thing where it's that melanated peoples, and they're like, yeah, you'll never, yeah, that's fine too. But it's like that's the conditioning that they went through. And Dane hit it on the head. And I tell you again, you know, the gangs of New York tell you what a native is. Native is first generation after Washington. First generation, and Dan call him. What did Dan call him? The no nots, no nothings. And Dan Calloway. What did Dane say? The no nothings. That was brilliant. I'll repeat that. Look that up. But the native simply is the first generation after Washington. And now they want to use the word Aboriginal, Indigenous, when they never used them words before. They didn't care for that. But they saw the power in it. See, people were using it with power. They saw the power in it, so they had to switch up. But the Bering Straits is the shit that kills them. They tell you they come from somebody else. So their argument ain't very strong. That ain't going away. That's their main thing. Well, yeah, we came from somewhere else. And you followed animals around. Yeah. And on the East Coast, it was cities. All up and down, Florida, all the way up, cities. Wasn't that teepee shit. People was living in cities. But that's the history they want to relate. They want to ignore. Now I know part of the CRT things is supports the slavery shit from Africa shit, and so we don't want that either. I mean, yes, it does. It does put Europeans in a thing where are they genetically evil people or wicked people? I mean, that's part of it. Because the study was, look at this study. These people have done some evil things around the world, and it's pretty much one genre of people. It brings that out. Now, that doesn't mean each individual, but it shows tendencies, and it shows, yeah, tendencies. Like I look up here in Duluth, Minnesota, where it's so easy that these people tore down the jail. I mean, brick by brick, tore this jail down to kill, murder these three men that had just come in town. And what is the odds of three men just coming in town and just going to attack a woman? When they know the majority of people live up here is European folks. What is the odds? Where are the people that stupid? But to create frenzies, and how could these people be so frenzied? Like, how could so many people get enjoying on killing three people? Like, why would 200 or 300 people enjoy killing three people? Like the young boy they supposedly burnt over the fire in Texas. They said there was 10,000 people watching one person get tortured. What would be interesting with that? Like when they first started torturing, like just everybody wanted to come from miles away. Do you know how long it takes 10,000 people to move 10 miles? I mean, people would never get there, but that's what they want you to believe. And they show you some pictures where they burned something. So we see a lot of it's propaganda. Lynchings was cards. See, this is what happens if you guys come down here, especially South where they was outnumbered. They wanted to keep that threat going. They tell you. The end of the Civil War, it was way more melanated people in Mississippi and Alabama. Way more. Like 3-1 almost, or not 4-1. And they want to tell you all them folks were slaves. And they want to tell you them people didn't fight against the Northerners. Um, hmm. I don't know. That's an interesting question. He said if the Astros, they weren't going to let the Astros win because of the cheating. That's why the Astros lost. Make you think baseball still. I saw Michael Jackson at. I saw Michael Jackson. Yeah, I saw him a couple times. I saw him with the Jacksons with Randy. I saw him with Randy, and I really liked. I really say this. I like Jermaine and Michael, but Jermaine had a very strong voice. That song "Don't Take It Personal," "Take the Bitter with the Sweet" is really only hit. I love Jermaine's voice, but I really loved Michael's voice with Randy's voice, and then with Marlon and Jackie's. But really, Randy gave him a very unique sound. Like when they're going, "Don't blame him on the sunshine, don't blame," and listen to Randy's blend without Jermaine. I love some of those songs by just the Jacksons with Randy singing instead of Jermaine. I really that song "Don't Blame It on the Sunshine." You hear Randy added instead of Jermaine. It matched. It matched better to me. And like I always talk about Tiny. My uncle's brother lived in Gary. Like my aunt's husband, which that shit, the motherfucker. When I was born, he was just my uncle. But his brother lived in Gary, in that same neighborhood that Michael and them lived. That same area in Gary, where it wasn't far from the smelting plants. So we went to Chicago, Detroit all the time. There was a lot of Macons in Chicago. I mean, hell, I think I was 4 when I first went to Chicago. I remember being downtown. Planter Peanuts had a little place. I don't remember if we caught the train in. We caught the train in Niles, Michigan, and we went into Chicago from Niles on the train. That was the first time I went. That must have been like 64, 65, somewhere in there. He was a superhero during the Bad Tour. He was at the Louisville Fairgrounds. Okay. Yeah, I saw him at the Jacksons. I saw him at Black Expo. Must have been 72. And then, because I won't say I saw him at the Expo a couple times, but I saw him at the Expo. And then I saw him in Greensboro in 81. 81. They was the Jacksons, though. They was the Jacksons. So Randy was there. Wasn't Michael by himself. I don't think. And I'll tell you the phenomenon of Michael. I've told this story many times. The phenomenon that was Michael and people that was prepared. Like we were selling as the MTV Michael blew up. I've said this story before. It was one of my biggest hustles. Is we knew somebody that printed these sticker books and little magazines, and we were selling them by the truckloads. I was able to my ex, like my ex-wife, my first wife. She knew someone, and she was like, "He can get these," and I was like, made a deal with him, and I'm like, and he was able to supply like truckloads of this stuff, and we all made good money. And I don't know who made them, but they were just sticker books, and we were taking them on campus. We was taking them to high schools. I mean, we just got rid of this stuff, like truckloads of this stuff, little Michael Jackson stickers. People, it was like knocking on my door like it was some dope shit, getting these little stickers. Because and another part is they came out. It was the weeks we was doing it, we was getting different stickers for whatever the collection was. So it was the trippiest thing, just Michael Jackson stickers. And we don't even have any of that stuff. I don't think she has any of that stuff, posters and all that shit. And we didn't pay Michael nothing. Michael didn't get any of that cut. I don't know where he printed that. I don't know how they made money, but it was kind of, I don't know. They didn't make a lot of money. It didn't seem like, but they got it. Must have printed it or mistakes. I don't know what it was. Wow, I've been going for this long and I haven't really talked about shit. But I guess the thing is I'll give another 20 minutes or so. If you get to feeling blue this time of year, it's natural. Especially if you've had any kind of deaths. And remember, deaths sometimes bring up the memories. The memories of death are brought up by the holidays. be it Thanksgiving, be it Christmas. Those are the heart holidays, especially Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is supposed to be the heart of the country. That no matter what they did, we forgive them. It's okay. No matter what was done, it was okay. It's the way it was supposed to be. That's what they want you to believe. But and I just say that in jest though. But the thing is as far as family and memories and spending time together, this is what would bring up a lot of those memories. And remember, we are in the dark, the long dark. We are not going to see the days get longer again until the 21st, till the solstice. So we're in it. So I bring this up is, you know, some around you may need more support. Some around you may need more support. So be that support for them. If you see someone and the coping is hard, get them to bring it up or bring up as much as they can. But understand too, this season will give that, because it is more darkness and less light. And most of us in some parts of the country quit being outside. Hell, yesterday I played it good. I got 3 miles in the pickleball yesterday. Today, rainy, cold in the 40s. And it's supposed to snow tomorrow. So, and next week is nothing but the 20s. But yesterday we had like 60, 59, 60. Beautiful. Got a good workout. I could have went to hoop tonight. I'm holding up on the hoop, and I ain't hooped in since 15. So I don't think just trying to go run up and down is a great thing for me to do at this time. I'm going to slowly get used to running up and down. What are you saying, Jeffrey? What would be a desired outcome other than talking about souls? I was saying more security, new IDs. Someone always benefits from events like this. Is there something? Oh, well, I think one thing that was like Squid Game was the promise. Like when Ice Cube was in that movie with Charles Dutton, and remember they hunted Ice Cube. They tried to really stick it to him, you know, tried to cheat him, but he was still able to get his money and play the game. Remember that? And he turned the game where he was killing all of them. He was such game. But remember, they tried to not really give him a benefit for turning the tables on them. If you remember, it was just one standard prize, whatever you got paid for going there. But it wasn't the benefit. Now, could there be a benefit from surviving all this? Absolutely. But the thing to remember is be able to take the punches on the chin, be able to stand on your place, on your square, on your plane. Because there's so many things that just want to knock you back and knock you off. And I know, you know, standing your square is very Masonic, but where they copied it from really is where you can accept a plane. You have the right for your energy, especially on what we see in this type of illusion. You have every right to declare what the plane you are on. That's what flat plane people don't understand by still trying to call it Earth. They don't understand that if they took it from the plane perspective, it would start working for them. Because it's like taking, you know, a round hole and trying to put a square box in it. You'll never win from that version or that vantage point. The vantage point is accepting it as a plane, not trying to force 3D into 2D plane. That's where they lose. Where they don't have to lose. If they accept what plane they're on and take everything from that, that's where their answer comes from. But many of them don't want to move that way. They don't want to move from a 2D perspective. Not only is illusionary can mean the purpose. The purpose moves too. Yeah, that's a good one to give you. The purpose moves. Yeah, the purpose would move. I'm glad to give that one. It was warm here the other day as well. Hopefully, you've seen Loki yet. I still haven't watched it. I got it somewhere. Yeah, but I just still haven't watched. I haven't finished what James Bond. I just barely started watching Dune. The Eternals came through. I ain't even watched that. So, I go back and watch. I was watching one of my Legion episodes. So no, I haven't watched the Loki. I'll be analyzing different things, Jeffrey. Yeah, we about to be in winter up here. We're about to be in winter up here. Dark in winter. Get dark at 5. I remember the first 15 years ago when I was here, shit, it got dark at 4:30. I remember the first day I saw it dark at 4:30 in my life. It was dark at 4:30. My son was getting off the school bus and it was freaking dark and I'm standing outside. And I remember my body getting used to living here. It took some, hour behind. You wouldn't think it'd take your body, but I had went through so much trauma before I came and lived here that had to survive all that as well. I can't see the Lakers. It looks like the Lakers are losing. Pistons beat Houston. You can see they pushing green, but they wanted to push the number one pick too. All that pressure on the number one player. What do you turn out to be? LeBron was number one, wasn't AD number one, but Green, he was playing against Green in Houston, and Green been hooping. So it's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure your name get called first than anything. I mean, shit, ask Kwame. And it's people that was jealous of him too because of that. You can't say he didn't live up to that moment. Here's an 18-year-old that is pushed to the front of the line. Well, what this system will do is they'll reward just to take it away from you. I mean, think about the Ruggs story that they're going through. I mean, look at all how you have to look at it. Like him and his girl went and looked at this car. They went and looked and got the car, bought the car, took the car home. And for some reason at that moment, they supposedly was in a car that went 150 miles an hour. Now, that makes no sense that a person would do that. And then this makes you look back at what happened to Tiger Woods. How Tiger Woods was thrust in a corner where it was a turn and he missed the turn and rolled down an embankment. Now, that's one rabbit hole that you can go down, but isn't that odd that Tiger went through something? He said he didn't remember what happened. We're supposed to believe this dude that is relatively healthy, has a healthy lifestyle, just some way just tripped out and got drunk at 7 that morning on his way to a golf course? Wouldn't make sense. And apparently the dude, Rhino, broke down. The dude was in a neighborhood. So that makes no sense. There's no way that he would drive that fast. I don't care how drunk you are. And just as I broke down the 5 that got killed in the fiery crash in Michigan, the children, this is the same thing. It's like, what would his girl be doing? She's just going to like, how they'll show, imagine it's just she's laughing. He's going faster and faster and she's just laughing. You know how they show the crazy kind of movie shit? Something's crazy about to happen and the woman's just cackling like a cackling hen. That's all she did. She didn't do nothing. She just sat in the car and passed out. There was no emotion from her while you seeing him going 150 miles an hour. Supposedly, do you know how fast things come at you going that fast? Do you know how much ground you cover? But again, that's another rabbit hole. But what was her role? She seemed to have a big role afterwards. She was on the ground like he supposedly knocked out and she was tripping. So she was aware what happened up to that point. The whole scene looked staged, though. It looked staged. I'll say that. It does look staged. Just the whole story. Remote control cars, flips over the movie magic. There you go. Yeah, definitely remote control car. Hey, Mr. T, what's happening? Legion was beautiful. So was the Magicians, though. Magicians was giving out a lot of stuff. Like that Magicians was, let me see, is this little thing right here? Yeah. Shit, the Magicians was showing you shit like this to like see if shit was enchanted. I was liking that shit. They were showing some calcite, like, and there's clearer than this, but it was like you can see some magic bullshit. You can see some sigils, and they was giving that out. And this is just a Iceland spar kind of type of calcite. This is how they would navigate. You know, you would put something. You'd put a north wind, or you'd write on the paper north. You know, the directions, and then you could put this on the angle of the sun, and it would show the way to sail. They would use this because it opposites it. You know, it's like magnifies it, so it opposites. And so this would be a thing they would use the navigations, but the magicians was showing where you can go into shit to see. Like they was trying to show you why you couldn't really rob a bank with magic. You couldn't use magic to rob a bank because there's sigils and shit. And they was like, but they would pull this kind of thing out. I was like, so that's what they're trying to show you. It's a way to see if magic's being used for people that just don't have enough they can't sense it and feel that magic's being used. So I mean, we've been under it since this thing's put together. I think Trump said it best. He said it's going to disappear as quick as it appeared, and that's why they wanted him out. And what do they always say about people in Mississippi, the really poor Europeans? They vote against their best interest. And that's what we just saw. A lot of people went against their best interest. '89, '88. Oh, 90, '88. They are really highlighting young people. And if you look at LeBron the same way you look at Brady, Chris Paul, Melo, these people, these hanger-oners. Remember, Melo wasn't that long ago. He's out the league. I mean, I look at my friend. My friend is only 25 years old, and he's out the league. He was only allowed to play in the league 4 years. Now, he's played overseas longer than he's played in the NBA, but they build you up. They build you up, and they'll tear you down just as quick. And before you know it, one of these young men that I knew that passed this past year, can't tell you why he passed, but he was playing somewhere where they went to war, and I'm not sure where, but he was playing in Europe where the war was coming to where he was hooping, and he had to come back, and then some kind of way he died while he was here. But he was hooping somewhere that actual real war came out, and they had like Afghanistan flying motherfuckers back. He had to fly back like that because it was somewhere where he was hooping and it was fighting. So that's something. The food, trying to go over there and get adjusted to the food, the time, little things that you might need to keep yourself together, deodorants and all this kind of shit. There's a lot of shit that's fighting you. Damn, they have video of the accident. Stopped comedy 3 days ago. He decided, wow. Catches the last cat. Mr. T, I think that is so fake. I mean, Rodgers used their language. He used their language. And that's really why they can't get him for lying, because he didn't lie. He didn't say he took the shot. He said, I was immunized. So where did he lie? It was their lazy part that didn't look up immunized. And that's why, again, you see this is a made-up story. Because if I showed you, you think Kyrie is supposedly with it, and he ain't really with it. Them Kyrie 2s got that all-seeing Marduk eye on them and the pyramid. So don't tell me you make that, but all of a sudden you with it. He is not with it. He's one of them. He's controlled opposition. But it's the same kind of thing. He gets the pass because he's European compared to them getting on Kyrie. And that's why when Jay Williams got into Stephen Smith's ass, because Stephen A. Smith's job is to kiss the Europeans' ass as much as he can. He can't really criticize them. He don't have permission to really criticize them unless they tell him to criticize them. He has to have permission to them. He can criticize brothers all day. Jay Will went kind of against the grain on their asses. Called him out. But again, that's ESPN doing that. Jay Will got a little juice behind him. That's ESPN doing that. Because you do all that dirt that Stephen A. Smith done did to people. Don't remember, this is the business where whoever that star falls in front of, and that's a fluid mover. Because that's Stephen A. Smith ain't won nothing. He going up against people that's won something in this sporting world. That you being a reporter ain't going to last forever. But it's interesting. Michael Wilburn is up there. You notice they didn't have Jalen Rose up there. They had Jefferson up there tonight. And they took Jalen pretty much off First Take. He ain't on First Take no more. And they took off Beetle. The sister quit because of the surroundings. Taylor quit. So now Greeny got the job. So it's October. Greeny, basketball don't end until June. So they want to make Greeny into what Shaq and Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley are. That's what they want. They want to equal to what they are. So that's what they want for Greeny. That's what they think that Greeny is going to be like Charlie or Johnson. Going to be like Johnson for TNT. That's what they're trying to put together. Is their version of that. And I hate television, especially sports television, where they don't let brothers really look in the camera anymore. Now you see on Fox, see on CNN, they still look in the camera. Sports, they don't. I don't see how two dudes can do a show and you sitting there looking at each other and you ain't looking into the camera. When I took TV production in college and high school, the main thing was to look in the camera. And TNT with that Turner shit started that shit, making them not look in the camera. I remember I've said this before. Magic was on TNT first, and then he went to ESPN. And TNT, they didn't look at each other. He kept getting close-ups. He kept getting close-ups by ESPN because they was expecting him to look in the camera. He was used to be on TNT where he's taught not to look in the camera. So it was really weird seeing this because Magic was looking like at the other person. He wasn't looking in the camera because he was used to that TNT thing. But that ain't like they talking to each other. That's like they can't talk to you. It's like the sports people can't talk to you. They can't look you in the eye. Remember the Jim Crow shit they used to say, if a European went by you, you couldn't look him in the face. And if you walked by a European woman, you couldn't even look at her. You had to just look down. Where was that you really think was that? Hell, what if the woman tripped over and is about to fall in you and you're looking down, she's going to knock you both over. Stephen A. Smith, yeah, he's a bitch. So, let me say this about this shit with the test and the players is some bullshit. This is really what it is. It is no worse than seeing names in a hat. These tests can't really tell this shit. These tests are biased. These tests are not the final solution. What does so many people say? They got tested and they was fine. Didn't never feel shit. So this shit with sports people is just to make you believe. Ain't nothing wrong with these people. These people, they see, and this is what they created this thing. Rodgers knew what he said. He knew exactly what he said. So he knew the role already. And when they was going to tell him heads up, we going to talk about this shit. You don't think he know? Well, you're going to have to miss a game, but we'll let you play the next one. That kind of thing they doing, that they pull off. Same with Irving. Irving get paid $17 million not to do nothing. His whole contract was 35, but he gets paid $17 million if he don't even play. The money's guaranteed. And he's doing like, see, they want you to make you think like he's like Ali, the conscientious objector. That's the same kind of thing of what Ali, claimed. Because some Quakers in Vietnam claimed conscientious objectors. So Ali's people put the same shit up there. Say, hey, we ain't no difference in these Quakers. I'm a Muslim. They Quakers. What's the difference? No difference. I'll tell you what about alcohol. My place where I go, they were saying that bourbon. He was saying that bourbon. He said before the pandemic, they was getting all the kind of different bourbons, but he said the bourbons. And I'll tell you something I've noticed since the pandemic is bottled beer. Bottled beer is not is around as much as it was before. Before this, bottled beer was around a lot more. Now it's not really around. You're not really seeing a lot of bottled beer. So, yeah. But I know bourbon. He said bourbon. Like, it wasn't that their shelves was empty, but he was saying he wasn't getting the same quality. One of the owners of where I go, because I've been down here for so long. I mean, so many. They all know me down here pretty much. It's like, if I fell out, they would know somebody that knew me. Like, oh, I think you guys, they'd go to the liquor store. I think you guys know him the best. What's his name? Old guy fell out. He looks like this. Oh, we know him. That's true about the glass bottle. Yeah, definitely. The glass is not, not like it was before. You see mostly canned beer. Like, I would say, if you really looked at it percentage wise, I would say 75% of the beer is in cans. 75%. Yeah. And beer, you can see when it's most of it's marked when it was made. That's the thing about beer, is some of this beer be old than a motherfucker. We drink it. It's like, I'll get beer. I got beer, and beer be 5-6 months old, but it's got like another 3 months shelf life. Whereas it's a brewery in my town, I could get fresh beer. Costs more. You would think it costs less, but it costs more. They got jugs and shit where you could take, the jug up there, like, the old hillbilly moonshine jug. They call them something with a G, growlers. They call them growlers. But shit, the shit is like $15 for like 5-6 beers. Fresh beer, yes, but expensive, yes. So I could get it like that, but just it's expensive, baby. It's not cheap. And I like drinking beer too much anyway. So I'd rather just smoke bud than drink beer. Because beer becomes heavy on you. But I just like the taste of the hops, the malts. Never been much of a liquor person. Whereas my grandfather, my father was opposite. But it's like digging my father and my grandfather, and both of them loving blues. That really did, I think, more than anything, open my mind up to Jimi Hendrix. Because I remember just sitting with my grandfather and just be done hoop 5-6 games and sitting under the tree, maybe drinking some lemonade or something, and he'd listen to blues and just start getting into it. Be a nice, beautiful day. They had a what is the tree called? Weeping willow tree. Yeah, that was the worst kind of. The weeping willows is the worst to get whooped with, because you could find a damn switch that's like 6-7 feet, and then yeah, I had parents, they was psychos, want to whip you with a weeping willow switch. Yeah, that was child abuse like a motherfucker. They'd beat the shit out you with one of them. I watched them whoop my brother with one of them one time. I'm like, that is not right. Watch your parents be the slave catchers. But that was some shit to get beat with. Well, I guess I'm gonna tie this up. I guess I'll give a summons of all the things, is to put it all in perspective. The basics thing is to remember not to be stagnant in your whatever you study, whatever your thoughts are. You have to make them move as the times move. Now, keep in mind, support the people this type of year that tend to get in depression. Really give them support, because we're going to have a good almost 30 days of dark. And a lot of people, this will bring extra depression. So support those that you can support. Support those people that might need it. For those of you that do hear this message, if you can help them early to prepare them, that is even better. You see that funk, and it can be adults and children. There's no age for this, but give extra support because a lot of people can't just revel in it. But I'll tell you this, for those of you that can revel in this dark, try to move as much as you can move because this is perfect. The candles, the incense, I mean, this is that time for all that. I got a candle I've been burning. I paid about $15 and it's been burning every night constantly. Citrus, several different smells, one of them different smells. So when I go into that, but even I've got one in front of me. I wanted to put it somewhere out here, but you wasted. So be supportive where you can be supportive. Definitely recognize those that need help. And don't let nothing get you down. Keep rising to the top. Give it all you got. Give it all you got. Keep rising to the top. Remember that you are enough. What you have is enough. And what you want, you can have. Just how much you want it. And remember, this illusion, you can fake it out. You can fake this thing out. Don't forget that. Don't put all your eggs in just your thoughts. Because this thing knows the thoughts. Now, if there's free will, that's free will. Is tricking this thing by keeping them thoughts hidden deep. Now, that might be a type of free will. I'll give it that. Just you can hold back. If you know how to do it, you can hold back from this thing, and it can't read that. Don't talk your manifestations out of it. Don't talk about shit don't ruin it for yourself. Manifest it before you start talking about it. This thing loves to kill that, where you talking about it before it actually happens. Even if you think it's manifested, it's best to have it in the hand. But they say a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. If you got it in your hand, then it's better just to really never talk about it. Just accomplish it. And that's the ego saying, pat me on the back. I did this, pat me on the back. I remember one guy I sat with, and he was a crackhead, but he had just got like A+ credit, and how happy he was while he smoked crack. And I just looked at him and laughed. I was like, okay, you've got A credit, but why are you here smoking crack? So one part of his personality, he was proud of himself, but he still had his crutch right there. So as much as you raise part of yourself, you didn't raise all yourself. You left part of yourself back. And I just watched that contradiction. So I was like, I'm happy for you, brother, but this is contradictive, brother. This is not going to help that. Oh, you're welcome. So don't talk your manifestations out. Many people talk about that. That's nothing new. I'm not stealing that from nobody. But I'll conclude like this. I was listening to it, got stuck in the note. The way they want you to look at this thing, they tell you that when you start to die, you go back through everything so that you would appreciate the moment. But that is like the exact opposite. It's like you can continue the moment forever. I'm not saying stuck on a repeat. I'm saying just it continues. So what you like can just always continue, always expand. And that's the negative they want to push. Well, when you die, it all, no, it doesn't. You work on it now. You move your knowing in and out how you move it, and you prepare. and you're never surprised. If you just get hit head on the truck, you ready. Like, okay, well, don't you want a few more minutes? Not if it means I got to be in a body cast. No, let's let it move on. Like I said the other night, I go in and you tell me I got cancer. I was like, no, I don't. I didn't have it when I came in here. Why would I take it back with me? And I'll repeat myself. Most people, not only do they take it back, they put the burden on other people by telling other people. So they give cancer to everybody. Just because you ain't physically going through it, you know about it, so you are worried, and a little bit is eaten out of you. And I'm not saying, you make your own choice. Like, that's all this thing. The people that have made the choice, I love you just as much as the people that haven't. It's probably more people that would listen to me that has made that choice than didn't. That's on you. I mean, hell, they took my other channel down just for repeating what happened to someone else. I guess they didn't like that. Gave me 3 strikes at once, apparently, which I never got. Never explained it. Thank goodness for Russians that know how to save that shit. Thank you, Russians. Fuck you, Google, because that shit ain't just lost. So thank you, Russians. Say that. Just hold on to it. But I'm just enjoying the moment. Well, I guess I will end. And as I always end with Mora. I'll say that. But I would read more. So more is one of the few things I do share about the time walkers. And this is kind of what the civilization, this is a word that would kind of keep everybody grounded, because it's not easy starting something and know that you can't see it, or even your seed can't see it into fruition. Mora, it all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland, yet they knew that they had an exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the gray serpent. And as the ancient Maya would say of the ancient American world, I am another yourself. Or as Marco 666 says, reflection, which he's right. That it all means the same thing. Thank you all for being my reflection tonight. Because just the one person that would watch me, I thank you. When we come in and, I am not very sophisticated, and yet, I get support from people, and I appreciate that. I know I have a lot of limitations, but yet people do still, despite my limitations, support me, and I appreciate that. So, savoir faire is everywhere. Till we meet again.